flames shoot from the garage of a home in Virginia in May 2021 as firefighters rush to the scene.
Is everybody out?
The homeowner and his family watch in disbelief.
The house is on fire.
Okay. It's very bad. It's very bad, actually.
As neighbors flood 911 with calls and record the devastation unfolding on their phones.
There's a fire in the garage. It's now out.
It was an ordeal the family and fire officials say all began with an electric vehicle in the garage.
A smoke coming from the car and the car charging.
Spontaneous fires in electric vehicles, or EVs, are a rare but alarming scenario that's been reported across the country. As far back as 2020, documents we uncovered from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, show multiple car manufacturers have reported safety defects with their EV batteries that could spark a fire. And tens of thousands of cars have been recalled because of the risk of ignition in EVs that are charging or even after they've been unplugged. The problem even has some major airports banning specific cars from their parking lots.
The battery enters a state where it catches on fire. This can happen for a number of reasons, and sometimes they're even undetermined.
Michael Brooks with the Center for Auto Safety says the mystery of the battery's root problem is being investigated by the government. In the meantime, some EV owners are left with restrictions on how they can charge and where they can park, cars that can't go as far as designed, and fears about what could happen to the vehicles sitting under their roofs or just outside the door.
It's concerning because it's a different type of danger. You know, you're not in your car, you're in your house and you're asleep and your car catches fire and you have no way of knowing.
Our team discovered NHTSA records that show it's happened nationwide, with an Arizona man telling the agency he had to be treated for smoke inhalation after his charging EV unexpectedly caught fire in his garage. There's also a New Jersey owner who said that if the spontaneous EV fire that spread into his house had happened overnight, he and his wife could have died. And an unidentified person who supplied pictures from security cameras that show his car essentially exploded without warning in the driveway. Each of those incidents, records show, involved a Chevy Bolt. The company, which has declined our interview requests, has recalled more than 100,000 cars for repair because of the battery fire defect. According to files examined by our national investigative team, Chevy was aware of at least 24 Bolt fires as of April. The company's permanent fix? Replacing the batteries. But Brooks says supply chain issues have extended wait times, leaving many drivers in limbo.
Everybody who has one of these cars, they just have to wait.
It's kind of the rule with NHTSA. It's tough luck. You know, the manufacturer issues a recall, and we see this all the time. Folks are having to sit for up to a year or more, many times, waiting for the repair. And people are basically being told, suck it up, we'll get there eventually. We hope you don't die or get injured in the meantime. And that's super disappointing.
Meantime, Chevy and the other companies impacted by the battery defect have taken steps to minimize risk. Bolt owners were originally told to limit charging, avoid running their batteries below 70 miles to empty, and to park outside immediately after charging and not leave the car indoors overnight. This past December, more than a year after the first of 3 Bolt recalls, Chevy came up with a software update to mitigate the threat, limiting the Bolt's charge to 80% and lifting those earlier restrictions for those who get it. But that's far from the final fix.
The bigger pain for all of the owners is having to park outside and basically upend their vehicle ownership pattern because of something they had nothing to do with. So it's certainly, you know, more than disappointing. It's outrageous, and you can see why these owners are complaining to NHTSA.
Our team scoured NHTSA's public database, digging up complaints from the last 2 years from at least 100 drivers of various EVs, specifically related to the battery defect. Many are angry, saying they can't charge or drive their cars as much as expected.
To have it just sitting out there and have to look at it every day, what's that like?
It's terrible. I've spent thousands of dollars on that car, and now I can barely even drive it, and it's just heartbreaking.
Jada Neighbory got a Chevy Bolt with help from her mom, Stephanie, back in 2020. They're still paying on the $34,000 lease, even though her dream car has mostly been collecting dust since they learned about the recall and the risk last winter.
Charging it just made me super nervous inside the house.
That was like a real fear. You're going to sleep at night worrying about that?
I was scared, like, am I gonna wake up to a burning fire?
The Chevy software update alleviated some of the family's concern, but Stephanie says it created other problems that drivers nationwide have also told NHTSA about.
And it decreased the mileage that she could go quite a bit. So then it becomes this game every day. Okay, where am I going? How far can I go? Did I charge the car enough overnight?
The unpredictability means the car Jada was supposed to take to college in Nevada this year is staying home rather than making the 2,000-mile trip across the country. Right now, she barely drives it a few miles across town.
Like last night, I didn't know if I was actually gonna make it home or if I was gonna break down on the side. So I play out all of the situations in my head and really hope that I don't break down on the side of the road.
It's that kind of concern that's prompted a call for Chevy to compensate people who've been waiting months or even years for those long-promised replacement batteries. Some want buybacks, which Chevy tells us it's doing on a case-by-case basis.
When you get deprived of the benefit of your bargain, you don't get to use your car as intended, you're getting ripped off.
Philadelphia attorney Bob Silverman has already filed 50 claims against Chevy on behalf of EV owners in 16 states, including the neighbors.
And the biggest problem is there's no alternative transportation available. So there's no rental cars, there's nothing available, and they're really out in the cold.
Out in the cold over concerns about an electric vehicle that could bring the heat when you least expect it. Just like with that suspected EV fire in Virginia we mentioned before. When all was said and done, the damage to this $1 million home was so extensive, the family tells us they couldn't live in it for a year. Casualties of a rare car defect, where they paid the cost of ignition.